When Janelle's bringing up, oh, that Cody and I owe her something, it's like, how do you calculate, how do you figure that out? It's so confusing.
So with me leaving, I want my value of the property, and I'd like to recoup some of the money I put into Robyn's house.
I'm just, in my mind, just going, please help her to see what value I am to this family.
Janelle just lobbed the kind of audit bomb that makes even seasoned tea sippers choke on their morning brew, hinting on camera that Robyn's obsession with fancy decor and designer trinkets has quietly racked up a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right, million.
He's saying we were resistant to buying. It's really me. It has been me all along. That has been the one biting and kicking and screaming about the idea of buying. It's not something I have wanted to do.
With every dime allegedly siphoned from accounts the whole family once shared, she held up her tidy spreadsheet like a courtroom exhibit, voice steady but eyes flashing, that mix of betrayal and steely resolve only a woman done being overlooked can summon. Insiders whisper that the ledger lists velvet settees ordered at 3 in the morning, imported chandeliers worth more than a year of college tuition, and yes, a limited edition doll wardrobe that costs more than most folks' first cars. According to those close enough to glimpse the figures, Robyn's expenditures accelerated right when Janelle was pinching pennies to finish out basics like drywall and wiring at Coyote Pass, a fact that leaves fans reeling and leaves Cody looking suspiciously tight-lipped in the background footage.
I'm not gonna sit down with my friend Kelly and sit here and drive a bus over my wife. We were resistant because, I want to shield her from the blame.
Now picture the room. Quiet crew members frozen, boom mics trembling, while Janelle slides one slim receipt across the table, daring Cody to deny the charge for a custom Italian marble fireplace mantle shipped overnight to Flagstaff. He tries a half smile, but the camera catches the twitch in his jaw and the quick flick of his eyes toward Robyn, who suddenly finds a spot on the carpet exceedingly interesting. Viewers can almost feel the temperature drop as Janelle explains, still polite, always graceful, that she's hired an independent auditor to verify every last Venmo transfer, PayPal ping, and household essentials swipe since the family funds merged back in Las Vegas. She's determined, she says, to know exactly where the money went, and if necessary, she'll march those findings straight into a courtroom.
It seems like Robyn and Cody may have forgotten where they came from financially.
But here's the kicker. One mystery invoice labeled only Special Order Confidential Client is still missing, and rumor has it that line item alone could blow the roof off the Flagstaff mansion. And that, my friend, is where things get even messier. The deeper you dig into Robyn's spending trail, the stranger it gets, especially when you tumble headfirst into the infamous doll rabbit hole. This isn't your average toy collection. According to sources who pored over her now private Etsy review history, Robyn allegedly shelled out over $62,000 on handcrafted dolls and their couture wardrobes just on Etsy alone. And that's not counting the plush companion dolls, the ones with glass eyes and tiny manicured nails that collectors say can run upwards of $500 a pop. But it wasn't the price tags that had fans clutching their pearls, it was the way Robyn described them. In reviews still floating around online, she allegedly detailed romantic pairings between the dolls, gushed over their hairstyles, and even noted how excited she was when her girls found the perfect boyfriend doll.
And when I was on my own, I worked, I took care of my own money, I paid my own bills. Coming into the family and not working, it was like this huge transition of going, Cody, I need to pay a bill. Do I just put the bill on the counter? How do you want to work this?
One reviewer even claims Robyn wrote an essay-length rave about how a brunette doll reminded her of someone she admired deeply. Guess who it resembled? At first, many assumed she was spoiling daughter Ariella, but that theory quickly fizzled when Robyn's writing shifted to first person, describing her own joy at dressing the dolls, arranging them in tea party scenes, and setting them up in elaborate fantasy storylines. And then came the image that sent Reddit spiraling, a doll with perfectly curled chestnut ringlets, wearing a pearl choker and a satin gown, sitting in a replica of the Flagstaff living room, complete with mini throw pillows. The resemblance to Robyn herself was, well, uncanny. One fan jokingly dubbed it Mini Me Robyn, but the laughter didn't last long. The sheer volume of purchases, over 500 Etsy transactions since 2022, told a story that felt far more compulsive than charming. She'd reportedly buy identical outfits in multiple colors, order matching tiaras for different dolls, and commission custom jewelry scaled down to doll size. One pair of tiny diamond earrings, insiders claim, cost more than one of Janelle's mortgage payments. It was around this time that Janelle, trying to balance her family's books, started to notice certain withdrawals marked gift expenses and personal decor. She didn't connect the dots until someone, allegedly one of the adult kids, pointed her to Robyn's Etsy profile and said, "You might want to take a look at these reviews." That's when the walls really started closing in. What tipped everything over wasn't the dolls themselves, It was the walls. More specifically, the dizzying amount of high-end decor Robyn had allegedly packed into every inch of her Flagstaff mansion, right down to the monogrammed soap dispensers and museum-quality art prints that hung in perfectly symmetrical clusters.
I mean, there's no bones about it. I was very worried about the financial, and I really did not see how the dollars and cents were going to work. And we were going to bring this person in and pay rent and groceries, and there was going to be no income coming in. I was worried.
According to someone who visited the house during filming, the living room alone had over a dozen framed landscape pieces, a 6-foot abstract oil painting above the fireplace, and a handmade ceramic sculpture tucked behind the velvet sectional. These weren't budget buys from a home goods store. One fan spotted a nearly identical painting in a designer gallery for over $15,000. Janelle, who was living modestly in a small rental at the time, admitted on camera that she'd always found Robyn's walls busy. But now it was starting to look like busy might have meant bougie. And it wasn't just art. Guests remember silk curtains that allegedly cost $2,000 per panel, Italian chandeliers imported from a boutique lighting store in Scottsdale, and throw pillows that, get this, had their own dry cleaning schedule. Every corner of the house shimmered with custom fixtures and luxury touches, right down to a coffee table centerpiece that looked suspiciously like a real quartz geode. When Janelle brought up how extravagant it all seemed compared to the rest of the family's homes, Robyn reportedly replied that she just liked creating peaceful spaces. That might be true, but to Janelle, it looked like a palace built on the back of family funds. The kicker came during a visit for one of the grandkids' birthdays. While the kids played in the backyard, Janelle noticed new landscaping, raised flower beds, custom lighting, and what looked like a professional-grade barbecue setup. But what really caught her eye was the new playhouse. Sources say it had a miniature kitchen, working windows, and a shingled roof. Rumors put the price tag near $90,000. And when Janelle asked about it, Robyn reportedly said it was an investment in joy. That night, Janelle sat down and started tallying art, furniture, landscaping, lighting, rugs, playhouses. It was starting to look like the decor alone might eclipse anything they'd spent on Coyote Pass. And that's when she pulled out her receipts.
Janelle was worried about Robyn coming into the family with no income and that she was hopeful that Robyn would get a job. But little did she know that her hopes would be in vain.
And saw a name that made her stomach turn. There it was, buried in a flurry of PayPal activity, an account Janelle didn't recognize tied to repeated transfers labeled interior wellness and design therapy. At first, she assumed it was a wellness coach or maybe a home organizer Robyn had hired, but when she dug deeper, the dates lined up too perfectly with every major home upgrade Robyn had debuted. One of Christine's daughters reportedly helped Janelle cross-reference vendor names, and that's when the red flags really started flying. Over 500 individual transactions, some as small as $29, others in the thousands, all pointing to one consistent pattern: luxury purchases made from what appeared to be pooled family funds. One insider claimed Janelle found a single month where Robyn had spent over $21,000 on what? Mood lighting and imported throw blankets. Another month, it was nearly $15,000 on custom shelving and something called a scent curation consultant. Yes, that's allegedly real, but the most damning find was the trail of digital receipts connected to a high-end home decor boutique that offers ultra-discreet procurement for private clients. A friend of Janelle's from church, who used to work in real estate staging, saw the name and immediately recognized it. They do houses for pro athletes, she told her. If Robyn's been buying from them, it's serious money. That was the moment Janelle stopped guessing and started documenting. She began compiling every suspicious charge, cataloging items, vendor names, amounts, and the list ballooned fast. Custom sconces, designer rugs, a hand-carved wood credenza from Oregon that had to be trucked in with a private carrier. Even a rumor of a temperature-controlled cabinet for Robyn's doll collection, which, if true, would explain one mysterious invoice marked vintage display preservation. The real blow came during a family Zoom call, when Cody casually mentioned that Robyn had hired a little help decorating the upstairs hallway. According to sources, Janelle muted herself mid-call, got up from her desk, and poured a glass of wine, something her adult kids said they'd never seen her do during family drama. When Christine called to check in, Janelle's voice was calm, but her message was sharp. "I think I'm going to have to lawyer up." And that's when Cody realized this wasn't just a heated argument anymore. This was war.
All the family money helped buy the house that Robyn's in. I will always pretty much want what's fair. And I feel like Mary has been treated very badly by Cody for years.
Christine knew the tone well. That cool, resolved pitch in Janelle's voice only came out when the decision had already been made. "I think I'm going to have to lawyer up" wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Sitting across from each other on Christine's couch, the two women sipped coffee while Janelle laid out her plan like a seasoned strategist. No yelling, no drama, just a list of names, dates, and dollar amounts. "I'm not trying to blow everything up," she said quietly, "but I'm not going to be the fool who funded a mansion full of velvet throw pillows either." Christine nodded, the kind of nod that carries the weight of too many years of sacrifice and too few returns. The problem was, Janelle had no legal marriage to Cody. None of them did except Robyn. So while the rest of the wives pooled their income, covered group debts, and supported each other's kids, they were essentially operating on trust. No paperwork, no contracts, no guarantees. And that trust, Janelle now realized, had been weaponized. "It's not like I can walk into a courthouse and demand half of anything," she told Christine. "It's not a divorce. It's a breakup with shared assets and no rules." But there were options: legal action over jointly owned land, a formal accounting request tied to the LLC that managed family finances back in Las Vegas, even a civil suit for misappropriation of funds if the numbers were as damning as they seemed. And Janelle had a secret weapon, a friend from her old job in banking, someone who'd already offered to help her organize the paperwork into a format a judge could take seriously. "It's not about revenge," she told Christine. "It's about fairness. If I paid into that house, I want my portion back. If my name helps secure financing, I want that acknowledged. And if Cody refuses to talk to me like an adult, maybe he'll talk to a summons." When the topic of Robyn came up, Christine asked gently if Janelle thought she'd known what was happening. Janelle hesitated, then said, "I think she knows enough to stay quiet." And quiet Robyn remained. No text, no call, no invitation to discuss. Just a sudden flurry of online account changes, new privacy settings, and what one of the kids called a vanishing act. But what Robyn didn't realize was that Janelle wasn't just coming for conversation. She was coming with evidence. And soon, everyone in the family would see just how deep the spending rabbit hole went.
The whole plan at that point was for that home, my home, to be kind of an asset for the family. It was never supposed to end up being something that was just mine.
It wasn't the first time Robyn's finances had drawn side eyes, but this time, the stakes were higher, and the history was impossible to ignore. Long before anyone was talking audits or backyard decor budgets, Robyn had already come into the family with baggage of the financial kind. Viewers might remember the moment it aired like a slow-motion car crash. Robyn's past credit card debt, somewhere north of $32,000, becoming the entire family's burden. The justification was simple. Back then, love was still multiplying. They were building a united front, pooling everything. One pot, one family, one shared dream. But for Janelle, who'd spent years working full-time, managing kids, and putting aside what little she could to invest in Coyote Pass, the reality was much different. She was pouring in while someone else allegedly was draining fast. And that wasn't even the end of it. Robyn had always insisted she was budget conscious, even saying she stashed grocery savings in an envelope to fund her now infamous Hawaii vacation with Cody. But Janelle wasn't buying it. Not after seeing the resort receipts, not after learning from one of the kids that Robyn had splurged on romantic experience packages and add-on spa treatments while the other wives were scrimping through backyard barbecues. Christine had been begging Cody for emotional attention. Janelle had been coaxing him to show up for family dinners. Meanwhile, Robyn and Cody were snapping selfies under Hawaiian sunsets, as if the other wives weren't home juggling real life. To some, it might have just looked like a vacation, but for Janelle, it was a turning point. The visual proof that the family finances weren't just lopsided, they were flat out broken. It stung extra hard because she'd seen the contrast up close. While Robyn's home gleamed with fresh furniture and seasonal floral arrangements, Janelle was stringing together meals from bulk pantry hauls and patching roof leaks herself. "I used to look at her house and think, wow, it's beautiful," Janelle shared in a confessional. "Now I look at it and think, at what cost?" And that's when something new entered the picture.
Cody and Robyn shared everything. They shared the house payments, they shared the utilities, they shared everything.
Cody's latest obsession, his shiny fleet of trucks. According to insiders, he'd bought not one but multiple new vehicles in the past 3 years. And when Janelle caught wind of what they cost, she realized the spending wasn't just Robyn's little secret. This was a partnership, one that came with matching rings, designer jewelry, and apparently matching credit limits. And the worst part? Cody wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Cody had always prided himself on being the provider, the leader, the man who kept the family machine running. But lately, that machine looks suspiciously more like a showroom. While Janelle struggled to get straight answers about paying off Coyote Pass, Cody was busy showing off his new rides, a rotation of shiny trucks, each more expensive than the last. Basically had a fleet, he shrugged in one episode, as if casually amassing tens of thousands in vehicle purchases was just part of being a dad of 18. But for Janelle, it was like a punch in the gut. The trucks, the decor, the doll cabinet, the evidence kept mounting, and with every new splurge, her patience thinned. And the kids noticed too, especially the older ones like Gabriel and Maddie, who'd grown up watching their mom carry more than her share of the load. Now, they were watching her quietly endure while their dad flaunted David Yurman jewelry and dropped thousands on pendant necklaces to match Robyn's designer rings. It's the audacity. Gabriel reportedly told a cousin of acting like he's broke when we can see the receipts hanging from his neck. Maddie, meanwhile, had stopped speaking to Cody altogether. As Janelle explained, she doesn't want him in her kids' lives unless he's going to be present and consistent and not just swoop in when it suits him. She paused before adding, which, let's be honest, hasn't happened in years. Tensions reached a boiling point when Janelle confronted Cody directly. Not about the jewelry, not even about the house, but about one very specific transfer she believed had come from the family's joint emergency fund. It was supposed to be for the kids' medical costs, she said quietly, but it disappeared, and next thing I know, Robyn has a new patio set. Cody dismissed it as coincidence, but the numbers told a different story. A private accountant friend of Janelle's had already flagged the trail. If I were a lawyer, the friend reportedly said, I'd call this misuse of communal funds. Even Robyn, sources say, started to get anxious. She was overheard telling Cody they needed to lock down the paperwork and go quiet for a while, and while she tried to play it cool on camera, her energy shifted.
I used to be not so great with money when I was young. I had hard knocks. And then I learned during my divorce really how to budget myself. You just must have had a different priority of where your money was going to go than I did. That's all.
Fewer confessional tears, more clipped answers, less hand-holding. Insiders whisper she even skipped a planned sit-down with the producers, something she's never done before, because behind closed doors, Robyn was starting to realize this wasn't just a family feud anymore, it was an accounting nightmare. And if Janelle really had the receipts she claimed, then it wouldn't be just fans asking questions. The IRS might come calling next. Janelle never needed anyone's pity. But when those audit documents finally landed, neatly stapled, professionally formatted, and color-coded with an accountant's ruthless precision, even her most hardened critics sat up straighter. It wasn't gossip anymore, it was a paper trail. According to a source close to the situation, the independent review tallied Robyn's household purchases across 8 financial platforms, credit card statements, digital payment apps, retail invoices, even flagged cash withdrawals. The grand total? $1.2 million. And that's just what could be linked directly. There were also unconfirmed transactions that couldn't yet be verified but raised suspicion, including 4 designer boutique orders and a 5-figure invoice marked simply event styling, despite there being no known events that year. The most jaw-dropping page in the packet, a line item for what appeared to be a temperature-controlled display cabinet allegedly used to house Robyn's doll collection. Estimated cost over $18,000. It's not even the price, Janelle allegedly told Christine, it's the principle. I was rationing my heating bill last winter, and she's climate-proofing porcelain. When Cody was handed the binder, yes, it was an actual binder, he reportedly brushed it off at first, claiming it was a hit job. But that bravado didn't last long. One source said he spent nearly an hour flipping silently through the printouts, his jaw clenched, eyes flicking between pages like someone trying to calculate how fast the fallout might spread. He looked like he was trying to remember every lie he ever told, said a family insider. Meanwhile, Robyn allegedly paced in another room, refusing to review the numbers herself. She doesn't want to validate it, one adult child speculated, because deep down, she knows it's not good. The documents weren't just embarrassing, they could be legally damning if certain shared accounts were misused. Janelle hadn't filed anything official yet, but the threat was looming. And while Christine encouraged her to stand her ground, even she admitted, it's going to get ugly. Cody, for his part, went radio silent. No response to Janelle's emails, no phone call to smooth things over. Instead, he doubled down on social media with cryptic quotes about loyalty and betrayal.
We are not going to let Robyn get away with trying to insinuate that she is somehow good with money and that Janelle just doesn't have her priorities in order when it comes to money.
But his followers weren't buying it, especially not when the photos from his latest outdoor kitchen upgrade popped up, complete with a built-in smoker, granite countertops, and artisan tiling. One commenter summed it up best. Can't fix your family, but you've got time for custom grout? And now the million-dollar question wasn't just whether the audit was real, it was what Janelle planned to do with it next. There's a reason Janelle hasn't rushed to file the paperwork. She knows once she takes that next step, there's no turning back. This isn't just a squabble over who paid for what. It's about legacy, reputation, and the way 2 very different visions of family have finally come to a head. Cody always claimed he was building something bigger than any one relationship. A compound. A dynasty. But now that the dust has settled, it's clear that vision mostly benefited one house, one woman, and one bank account. For Janelle, the question is no longer, can I fix this? It's how do I make peace with walking away from something I helped build while someone else took the profits. She's weighing her options carefully. Sources say she's been consulting with legal experts, not just on recovering her contributions to the Flagstaff property and Robyn's house, but also on how to protect whatever's left of the Coyote Pass dream. At least one of the parcels is still in her name, and if Cody tries to liquidate without her consent, it could set off a legal chain reaction he's woefully unprepared for. Christine, who's been through her own emotional rebirth since leaving, is encouraging Janelle to go all in, secure her future, protect her kids, and never again let her worth be tied to a man who treated her as second tier. "You don't owe anyone silence," she reportedly told her during one of their recent get-togethers. "You owe yourself justice." Meanwhile, Robyn is said to be circling the wagons, a sudden pullback from filming, fewer public appearances, and what some believe is a quiet attempt to reposition herself as the one who stayed rather than the one who spent. But fans aren't fooled. The doll saga, the custom decor, the credit card history, the jewelry, it all adds up, and the internet never forgets. Even McKelty, long seen as the peacemaker, has gone quiet on social media, sparking speculation that the family fracture has now reached the next generation. There's also a new twist. Rumblings that Cody might try to transfer certain assets into private trusts to shield them from potential legal entanglements. If true, it suggests he's feeling the heat. And no matter how much he insists this is just family drama blown out of proportion, the receipts, literal and emotional, tell a far different story. Because now it's not just about the past, it's about what comes next. Will Janelle fight for a public reckoning? Will Robyn be forced to sell the house? Will Cody finally admit what the audit confirms, or try to bury it like everything else? And just when it seems like the dust might settle, an unexpected voice speaks up, dragging even more dirty laundry into the light. It wasn't who you'd expect. Not Mary, not Christine, not even one of Janelle's kids. It was Aurora, Robyn's daughter, who, according to insiders, let slip a comment during a group text that landed like a grenade. During what was supposed to be a casual check-in with a few of her siblings, Aurora allegedly defended her mom's spending by saying, "Well, it's not like we asked her to buy all that stuff. Dad said it was okay." That single sentence, screenshotted and shared faster than wildfire, sparked chaos. Because for years, Robyn's entire defense had been that she was just trying to live simply, modestly, and within reason. And now her own daughter had unintentionally or not exposed what many had suspected all along, that Cody not only approved the spending, but maybe even encouraged it. Janelle's reaction? According to one close friend, she didn't get mad, she got quiet. The kind of quiet that comes right before thunder. She knew Cody had been involved in the spending, but hearing it confirmed in plain words from the next generation made it all the more blatant. It wasn't just a pattern of favoritism. It was a partnership in prioritizing Robyn's world over everyone else's. The outdoor upgrades, the lavish trips, the curated interiors, the dolls, the shoes, the shield pendants, all of it had Cody's fingerprints on it. And if the finances were tangled, it wasn't because Robyn had gone rogue. It was because she had a co-pilot. Even Robyn, sources say, was rattled. She'd always painted herself as reluctantly privileged, as someone who carried the burden of Cody's love like a cross. But now that illusion was crumbling, and fans, many of whom had once tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, were turning. Threads online were filled with receipts, comparisons, and side-by-side footage. Janelle sitting in a sparse kitchen, Robyn lounging in a candlelit den, Christine making soup from scratch, Robyn buying a separate fridge just for snacks. Insiders say Robyn has started talking privately about downsizing, selling the Flagstaff mansion, moving into something more reasonable. But some think that's not out of guilt, it's out of fear. Because if Janelle moves forward with legal action, discovery laws could mean full transparency. Tax filings, purchase histories, transfer logs, all of it. And for a woman who once claimed her credit card debt was no big deal, a forensic audit of the last 10 years could be a PR and financial disaster. So the next move, that's up to Janelle. But she's already shown she's willing to go where none of the others dared. And as one fan put it bluntly, if she drops those audit pages in court, it's game over. And that's exactly what Robyn's afraid of. The silence from Robyn's corner is starting to feel less like strategy and more like survival mode. Sources say she's ducked out of 2 production meetings and has requested that any new filming exclude financial discussions, requests the crew reportedly rejected. Meanwhile, Cody has taken to speaking in riddles, posting cryptic quotes on social media about betrayal and wolves in sheep's clothing, as if the internet doesn't already have the receipts bookmarked and color-coded. But Janelle, she's moving differently. No vague posts, no public outbursts, just methodical preparation, and that terrifies Cody more than any screaming match ever could. Because if Janelle plays this right, it won't just be a personal reckoning. It could upend what's left of the Sister Wives brand. Think about it. This family was built on the illusion of shared struggle, of love should be multiplied, not divided. But behind the scenes, it's looking more like love was bought, sold, and redecorated on someone else's dime. The dolls, the designer jewelry, the $1,000 throw pillows, they're not just luxury items anymore, they're evidence. Proof of how a communal dream fractured into resentment, avoidance, and now potentially legal consequences. Janelle has already drawn a clear line in the sand. She's not asking for sympathy, she's asking for what she put in. The thousands toward Robyn's mortgage, the countless hours juggling family schedules while Cody played husband of the year in one house and ghosted the others, the emotional labor of raising kids mostly solo while Robyn's children were allegedly chauffeured to music lessons and therapy sessions. And most of all, she's asking for respect, not in words but in action. One family source claimed Cody recently floated the idea of a family summit, hoping to patch things up before anything escalated to lawyers, but Janelle didn't attend. Neither did Christine. And as for Robyn, she's reportedly worried that any group conversation will turn into a financial intervention, one she's not prepared to face. So here we are. The audits are real. The silence is strategic. And the house of cards built on designer rugs and selective memory is swaying hard in the wind. The only question now is, will Janelle file? Will Robyn cave? Or will Cody finally be forced to confront the family fallout he's been dodging for years? Either way, one thing's clear. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about the truth. And Janelle, she's not backing down. Now let me ask you this. Do you think Janelle should take it all the way and go to court? Or is there still a chance for a private truce before things explode even more? Tap like if you're rooting for Janelle, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single turn in this ongoing storm, because the next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.